Hello supply chain friends. So in this video, I will cover with you the top 5 supply chain certifications you can consider in order to further excel in your career. My name is Jamil Hai and I've been working in supply chain management positions across South Asia, Middle East and North America for the last 20 years. And my mission is to help you build real life skills for your job and career that they don't teach you in college. And if you are preparing for a supply chain job interview anytime soon, you should definitely book a session with me because I'm going to take your resume, the job description you're applying for, and based on a combination of those two and my 20 years of experience, will give you some laser guided tips and tricks which will maximize your chances of success. So go ahead now and book your session. Alright, so let's get started. Now, some time ago, I made a video on do supply chain certifications really work? And in that video, I did cover all the different situations in your career and life where a supply chain certification can or cannot be beneficial. So you should definitely watch that video by clicking over here. And after watching that video, if you have made up your mind that a supply chain certification is really what you need, then this video is going to benefit you a lot because 5 different certifications I'm going to cover with you pertain to 5 different areas of supply chain. Now, when you think about the different areas in supply chain, I always refer back to this famous SCOR model, and I've covered the SCOR model in a lot of my previous videos as well. But just to summarize very quickly, the SCOR model basically compartmentalizes the supply chain into different areas where you start from the supplier and you go all the way to the customer, and everything in between is basically supply chain. Now, there are 6 different areas in which the SCOR model compartmentalizes supply chain, and these are plan, source, make, deliver, return, and enable. And the certifications I'm going to cover today are pertaining to plan, source, make, and deliver. And then there is one overarching certification that I'm going to talk about, which is also very, very crucial. So what are these different areas? So plan is pertaining to planning. So if you are a demand planner, supply planner, production planner, master production schedule planner, or even a data analyst to a large extent, then you kind of fall under that plan space. If you are a sourcing manager or a procurement manager or a buyer or a purchaser, or you are basically working in the sourcing space, then you are in the source area. If you are in the manufacturing space, so you are working in a factory, you are a continuous improvement manager in a factory, or you are an operations manager in a factory, you are a plant manager, then that is make. Then you have got deliver, which is everything related to delivery, logistics, transportation, warehousing, all last mile delivery, everything you can think of in that space is deliver. And then you've got return, which is a relatively new addition to the SCOR model, which is all about reverse logistics and bringing stuff back, because in the world of e-commerce, there's a lot of customer returns. We all return Amazon stuff all the time. That whole reverse logistics space pertains to the return part of the SCOR model. And finally, you've got enable, which is all your continuous improvement roles or your supply chain innovation roles, IT roles, supply chain IT roles. And we talked a lot about this enable portion of supply chain in another podcast I did recently with a digital technologies expert, which you can watch by clicking over here. So now let's talk about the different certifications. So if you are in the planning space, so that means you could be a supply planner, you could be a demand planner, you could be a factory production planner, master production schedule planner, or you could be working with planning in any shape or form. You could be a supply chain data analyst as well, because data analysts tend to work a lot closer to the planning space than to anybody else in supply chain, because planning is really the brain of supply chain. And I'm probably saying this with a little bit of bias because I've spent the majority of my career in planning as well. But planning is where everything basically starts and it's controlled from. If your planning is wrong, then your making could be wrong, your delivery could be wrong, your sourcing could be wrong. But if planning is right, everything can be right. And that is why planning is at the very heart and it is at the very start of this SCOR model. So the best certification that I can recommend for planners is the APICS or ASCM CPIM model. Now, what is the ASCM CPIM model? So CPIM stands for Certified in Planning and Inventory Management. So as the name goes, it is a certification that takes you into the very depths of planning and inventory management. And that is why I think it's such a good certification for the planners. And what CPIM helps you do better at your job is things like increasing inventory accuracy, reducing inventory, improving forecasting, improving the S&OP or the sales and operations planning process, managing capacity and resource planning, and most importantly, work more productively with your company's ERP system. And whether your ERP system is SAP based or Oracle based, doesn't matter. It gives you a general framework of how ERPs work. And I think that's why it's such a good certification. Now, this certification has got about 8 modules. So in module 1, you've got supply chains and strategy. In module 2, you've got sales and operations planning. Module 3 is demand planning. Module 4 is supply. Then you've got detailed schedules, inventory, distribution, quality, technology, and continuous improvement. So as you can see, it covers all the different important aspects of planning, and doesn't really matter if you're a demand planner or supply planner. I think covers very well both aspects, although I believe this certification is a little bit more skewed towards supply planning because it's more like inventory heavy. But at the end of the day, inventory and demand forecasting have got a very, very strong connection. If your forecast is highly variable or your forecast is not accurate, then you will end up carrying more inventory, and vice versa. Therefore, there's a very strong relationship between inventory management and demand planning, and therefore I believe whether you are a demand planner or supply planner, this is a great certification for you. And now let's move to source. So if you are a procurement manager, you're a buyer, you're a purchaser, you are a sourcing specialist, and I've covered a lot of these sourcing roles in another video, which is how to find entry-level jobs in supply chain, which you can watch by clicking over here. And I also made a video some time ago on how to interview for a procurement manager. So if you are planning to appear for a procurement manager anytime soon, you can watch the video over here. And the most renowned certification in procurement and sourcing doesn't come from the United States. It comes from the UK, and it's offered by an organization called the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. And they have got multiple levels in their certification. So it actually starts with a level 2, which covers the basics of procurement principles, terminology, and fundamental processes. It's ideal for someone who is new in the field of procurement or sourcing. So if you are a brand new buyer or you have just started your career in procurement and sourcing, this level 2 certification might be a great place for you to start. And then as you further progress, in level 3, it focuses on operational procurement tasks like demand management, supply logistics, contract management. And one thing which makes these procurement specialists or procurement people in supply chain very unique as compared to the other parts of supply chain like planning or delivering or return or enabling is that 2 unique sets of capabilities you build in the sourcing space. One is negotiation, because you are working with suppliers all the time, so you learn the art of negotiation, because negotiation, as we know, is as much of a science as an art. But at the same time, you also learn how to write contracts, because you are dealing with contracts all the time. So it's a very interesting job, and it brings some of these very unique skill sets, and this certification definitely takes you in the right direction in order to become competent on some of those skills. Then there is a level 4, which is more like a diploma, and it delves deeper into the advanced procurement techniques, including contract management, which we just spoke about, procurement planning, supplier management, ethical sourcing, which is becoming a very, very important cornerstone of the sourcing strategy of any company right now, right? Because, and especially with more younger workforce coming in to the equation in supply chain, they would like to work more for companies who are ethically responsible, and they are socially doing the right things. They are environmentally doing the right things. So there's a lot of focus by companies on being responsible in all these areas, and sourcing, of course, becomes a key component of it, because if you are sourcing your products either unethically or you are exploiting farmers or something like this, then this can become a nightmare for you, because if these kind of things get reported and they come in the news media, it can have a detrimental effect on the brand of the company. But at the same time, you know, a lot of people may not even want to work for companies who are not very ethically responsible, and therefore this is such an important area. And then you have a level 5 as well, which is an advanced diploma offered by CIPS, which prepares you for leadership roles covering strategic procurement, complex supplier relationships, risk management, and cost optimization. So as you can see, as we are growing with these different levels, it's also catering to the needs of more senior procurement and sourcing professionals. And then finally, you have got level 6, which is a professional diploma offered by CIPS. And that's the highest level that focuses on complex business strategy, leadership and procurement, and industry best practices. And that's aimed for very senior procurement professionals, as you can see here. Now let's move to MAKE, which is manufacturing jobs. And the question is, what's a very good certification for you to consider if you are in a manufacturing space? Now, I want to start by saying that manufacturing industry or manufacturing jobs are an ocean of jobs and different areas on its own. So there is not one certification I can recommend here. There could be a lot of different certifications, because when you think about manufacturing, there is safety, there is industrial engineering, there is then hardcore operations management. So there are a lot of different areas in each of these, and there is of course project management, right? Because if you are an engineer working in a factory, then you need to be very, very well competent on project management, because your job is basically delivering projects. You are bringing in a new line, you are changing a factory. So most of your career, you are working on big projects. So your project management skills have to be very, very strong. However, the one certification I want to talk about here focuses on quality, because no matter in which part of manufacturing you're working in any company, because at the end of the day, quality can make or break your business. And the one certification I'm referring to here is the Lean Six Sigma certification. Now Six Sigma in this Six Sigma program refers to a number of different areas. One is of, statistically, the concept of Six Sigma comes from normal distribution and how many errors are allowed in every million parts that you produce. But without going into all those details, I will just talk about the certification itself. So the Lean Six Sigma certification is divided into 5 parts. So you can get the white belt. So it's more like, a taekwondo belt system, right? So you start with the white belt, then you get the yellow belt, then there is a Six Sigma green belt, then there is black belt, and then I think there is master black. And just like the CIPS program, each level caters to a different need of growing manufacturing professionals. So for example, in the white belt, you cover basic problem solving techniques, understand the fundamental concepts and methodologies. By the way, I've made a full video series on problem solving, which you can watch by clicking over here. And then as you get to the yellow belt, you get basic understanding of the Six Sigma methodology. You focus on the problem solving metrics again. And then it also assists managers in getting higher belt levels. And then you get to the green belt, which is where you lead small scale improvement projects. You assist black belts in larger initiatives. You collect data, analyze, and gather results. And then you mentor yellow belts as well. So you're not only assisting the black belts further, you are also assisting the yellow belts by mentoring them, because this is the level in the middle. And then you get to the black belt, where you lead complex projects from inception to completion. This is a very interesting thing about the Six Sigma certification. So it's not just a certification where you read a bunch of books and you go and give an exam and you pass. This is a certification where you have to actually lead projects in order to get certified. So whoever is giving you the certification, so they will basically assess you on your performance on that project before you get a black belt in this case. And then finally, you've got the master black belt, where you guide project managers and organizations at a strategic level. You counsel on particularly tough project issues. You provide guidance on education and complex statistical topics. So of course, this is one level above the black as well. And now let's move to deliver. And for deliver, we come back to the APICS or ASCM programs. And in this space, the certification I strongly recommend is the CLTD, which is Certified in Logistics, Transportation, and Distribution. And this is a certification that has 9 modules. So in module 1, you cover logistics fundamentals and strategy. Module 2, you cover demand and supply management, capacity management. So there's a little bit of a flavor of what you cover in a lot of detail in the CPIM program. So they just give you a little bit of a flavor of planning here. And module 3, it's about customer and order management. Module 4 is warehouse distribution, fulfillment center management. And module 5, once again, they'll give you a little bit of a glimpse of inventory management. And this time, inventory management, you will not see only the planning aspect of inventory management. You'll also see the physical logistics aspect of inventory management. So the importance of cycle counting, how to do cycle counting. And now there is a lot of new technology, which they also talk about in this program, where companies are using drones to do cycle counts, and there's a lot of technology, Internet of Things going on in warehousing. So this is inventory management from an execution standpoint. And then in module 6, you cover transportation management. In module 7, there's a global logistics. In module 8 covers sustainability, reverse logistics, which we talked about in the SCOR model as well, which is return. So this certification, you can say, arguably covers the deliver and the return portion of the SCOR model as well. And then this module 8 also talks about risk management, which is a very important concept within transportation and logistics. And finally, in module 9, we cover logistics framework, metrics, network design, transformation, and improvement. And now let's come to the final certification, and this is an overarching supply chain certification I did many years ago, and that was probably one of the very good decisions that I took in my supply chain career. So that's what I also strongly recommend you guys should do it as well, which is the APICS CSCP certification, which is APICS or ASCM now, Certified Supply Chain Professional Certification. So this is an overarching certification, so it doesn't really go into the details of plan, source, make, deliver, or return, or enable, but it covers the SCOR model in general very well. And therefore, if you are in supply chain and you've got about 5-6 years of experience, this is a very good certification because it validates those 5-6 years of experience from an industry standpoint. And if you look at a lot of job descriptions nowadays, right, one certification, whether you are applying for a job in the United States or Canada or in Dubai or sometimes in India as well, this is a certification which is often recommended. So now let's look at what is covered in the APICS CSCP program. So this certification has got about 8 modules. It contains, the first module contains supply chains, demand management, forecasting. So gives you that overall glimpse of the planning space. Then module 2 is global supply chain networks. There's a lot of focus on globalization in this particular certification. Then module 3 covers the sourcing, products and services aspect of supply chain. Module 4 is internal operations and inventory. Module 5 is forward and reverse logistics. Module 6 is supply chain relationships. Module 7 is supply chain risk. And finally, you have optimization, sustainability, and technology. So you can see, as I mentioned earlier, that it doesn't go deep into any specific aspect of the SCOR model, but it covers every aspect. So there is a module about sourcing, there's a module about planning, there's a module about logistics, and so on. The good thing about these certifications, especially the ASCM ones or these APICS ones, is that they keep evolving with time as well. So when I did the APICS certification many years ago, it did not have 8 modules. I think at that time they only had like 5 or 6 modules. But as supply chains are evolving, as new topics are coming up, this certification also keeps up with it, which is why it is so well renowned globally in terms of validating your supply chain credentials. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I've also made videos on topics like how to prepare for a supply planner job interview and what are the key supply chain KPIs, which you can watch by clicking over here. Keep watching.